Excellent. Well, Brian, kind of to wrap up today, how can some of these ideas that we've outlined provide distributors with a competitive edge in their market?
A great question, a great final question, a question that I typically start with when I meet with companies or do seminars is I typically start with a question, what is your competitive edge? And I pretty much stop, let people think about it, and I ask people to answer that around the room. And the answers that I typically get are, our people, our products, our service, our quick response. We've been in the business for X number of years. All of those things, and I say, that's great. And I say, guess what? I'm going to get that same answer from your competitor. They're going to think their products, their people, their service, or their competitive edge as well. So I say, so with that in mind, and if you agree with that, what truly is your competitive edge? Just really starts the discussion and it gets them thinking out of their comfort zone. And I believe the areas that can give a company a competitive edge today are some of the things we talked about here today. Put in place processes and procedures and visibility at the front end of the sales cycle. I mean, that has to become the company culture and say we're gonna really do that. Focus on areas like opportunity management. Get your arms around that opportunity side as it moves through the process. Are you in position to quote, and have you driven the specifications, or are you just the third bid when it gets to the quote? And then when you're doing the quote, have standards and a follow-up process. I see so many companies out there that are doing quotes, but there's no follow-up process. You did the quote and then you move on and you don't follow up with it like you should. Target account management, understanding where you should be spending your time and where are the accounts that are going to be the growth accounts. Time is a precious in this business, and making sure that you're spending your time in the right areas. Sharing and leveraging information as a team. I'm just a huge believer in team selling. Put in place systems to share and leverage that information across the team, from inside to outside sales, from service to outside sales. That's an area that's huge with companies that have service or departments, to be able to share that information. And then put in place the KPIs and the scorecards to let the team evaluate themselves. Let them see what management's serious about and where are the areas that need to be focused. And finally, I think it comes down to management. I mean, management must create a company culture with these processes and procedures on this whole front end. This is the area that I think is going to get the most benefit, the return on investment. And it's an area that you can control. It's not being controlled by external factors. It's all internal. So, I know that's a lot of things there, but pick and choose. Another thing I tell companies all the time, don't try to do all this at once. Pick maybe one or two areas that you really want to focus on first. Put those in place and then move on. But, it all starts, though, with management's decision and commitment to changing the way that they pursue business.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and expertise today, Brian. We appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you very much. Hopefully some people can take away a couple things that they can maybe implement or try within their company to, again, at the end of the day, give them a competitive edge.
To learn more about Brian's business, you can visit Selltis.com.